Liverpool have completed the signing of Marc Guehi. Fenerbahçe are snapping up Ederson. Ten Hag is once again on the brink of being sacked. Chelsea have made an official bid for Fermin Lopez, and Antony's move to Betis collapsed at the very last moment. All that and loads more in today's episode. If this video hits 350 likes, I'll sit down straight away and start working on the next one. Let's jump into the latest transfer rumors. Fermín López has found himself in a very delicate situation. Chelsea have put an official €40 million offer on the table, and now everything depends on the player himself. According to Fabrizio Romano, it's Lopez's decision that will define whether he stays at Barcelona or dares to move to London. The Catalans remain silent for now. No formal rejection has been made, though the Spanish press insist the club value the midfielder at around €90 million. That figure is, to put it mildly, inflated, but in the current climate, Barça have no choice but to negotiate. The financial problems are still pressing, and if Lopez agrees to the transfer himself, it will be far harder for Barcelona to keep him. Chelsea's intent is clear. Maresca has spoken to Lopez personally, the club are ready to raise their bid, and insiders write the final figure could end up somewhere between €40 million and €90 million. For the Blues, it isn't just a box-ticking deal. They want a creative midfielder who can deliver right away. The player himself, judging by leaks, is open to a move to England, but the decision can't drag on. The window shuts today. Barcelona's status and familiar surroundings work in their favor, but Lopez is unlikely to play a leading role this season. At Chelsea, though, he could become part of the project and take on a key position. Last season, he played 48 games, scored 8 goals, and provided 10 assists. Transfermarkt value him at €50 million. So Chelsea's offer is actually pretty reasonable. The only question is whether Lopez dares to leave Barça, and whether the club give the green light. Nicolas Jackson finds himself on the brink of losing his major transfer. On Saturday, he arrived in Munich for a medical and to sign a loan deal with a €65 million buy option. Bayern believed the situation was under control. Yet later that day, Liam Delap suffered an injury, prompting Chelsea to immediately alter their position. The club would not risk 2 months with only one available striker, and therefore withdrew, insisting either a permanent deal for €65 million or nothing further. Jackson, in turn, has declined to return to London. Remaining in Germany with his representatives, he is attempting to salvage the move. However, he possesses no legal means to apply pressure. His Chelsea contract remains valid, the loan is blocked, and a return to the squad remains the sole path. Bayern, for their part, are beginning to accept defeat. Max Eberl has confirmed publicly that the matter is out of their hands and the player must return. Given their expenditure this summer, Bayern are unwilling to pay €65 million in full. A loan would have been possible. A permanent transfer is not, at least at present. Chelsea, meanwhile, are pursuing alternatives. Inquiries have already been made regarding other forwards' strictly permanent acquisitions. Should a firm bid arrive for Jackson, the club would be open, but until then, they remain patient. This episode illustrates how a single injury can unravel a completed agreement. Jackson is left isolated, Bayern without reinforcements, and Chelsea in a state of uncertainty. Unless events change swiftly, the Senegalese will return to London discontented. Fenerbahçe have stepped in big. They now want Ederson as well. And it's not just interest. They've already put €12 million plus bonuses on the table. This comes after Galatasaray went first with a €10 million offer and were turned down. Manchester City, it's reported, want €15 million, which makes sense. We're talking about the goalkeeper who spent 8 years as the backbone of the most successful English side in recent years. Here's the twist. The Turks don't need to rush. Their transfer window runs until the 13th of September. But if City really intend to move for Gianluigi Donnarumma should Ederson leave, then they need to act much faster. The English deadline is today, 7 p.m. local time. So the pressure is on. They need clarity now. Is Ederson staying or going? As for the Brazilian, his start to the season has been unusual. First, illness kept him out early on. Then, even after returning, he wasn't the automatic number one. New arrival James Trafford has taken that spot, which makes this the moment when City may not fight too hard to keep him if he really wants to go, especially with 1 year left on his deal and with exit rumors circling for more than a season already. And according to Fabrizio Romano, if Ederson does say goodbye, City would move almost immediately for Donnarumma. Quite a statement, given Luis Enrique doesn't count on him. In the end, it's all about money and timing. City want 15 million euros, Fenerbahçe are thinking it over. Romano rates the deal at 60%. And speaking of percentages, about the same share of viewers here watch without subscribing. Let's beat Ederson's transfer odds and push this channel higher. Hit that button so you don't miss how this saga ends. Something tells me it could end loudly. Erik ten Hag is in trouble again. He's only just settled in at Bayer Leverkusen and already he could be out with a bang. The Dutchman has overseen just 2 games, and it looks like that was enough for the board to conclude the experiment has failed. German outlet Kicker reports tough news. Leverkusen Chiefs have likely already made their decision to sack him. Simon Rolfs and the others will finalize things after the transfer window closes, but the cards are on the table. It's a classic Ten Hag story. On Saturday, Leverkusen led Werder twice. And how did it end? Right, 3-3. The equalizer came in the 94th minute. After that humiliation, no one from the board offered him support, not a single voice. Instead, there's open criticism of the Dutchman within the club. Ten Hag, speaking to Sky after the match, produced another gem. He claimed the players aren't physically ready, the squad is new, and some aren't even fit to play. His final note, the team didn't function at all in the closing stages. That's the reality, he said. Seriously? 2 games in, and already those excuses? Of course, following Xabi Alonso was never going to be easy, but Ten Hag signed until 2027 back in May, clearly expecting a long-term project. Now it could end before it's even begun. After the chaos at Manchester United, his reputation was already damaged, and now it risks collapsing completely. Aston Villa are closing in on one of the biggest transfers of the summer. Lucas Paquetá is seriously intent on making the move to Villa Park, and all signs suggest it's happening. Fabrizio Romano reports that talks are progressing. Villa are in active negotiations with West Ham, while the Brazilian has already agreed personal terms with his new club. The story is a juicy one. Not long ago, Paquetá was one of West Ham's key figures, the engine in midfield who could run the game, blending creativity, power, and that touch of Brazilian magic. And now he's on his way out, not to a global giant, but to a strong, ambitious Aston Villa. Yet, truth be told, Unai Emery has elevated this project to the point where even players like Paquetá see it as a step forward. By the way, don't forget to react to the video. Thumbs up or down. Leave a comment, it really helps the channel. According to insiders, Villa have offered a loan with an obligation to buy. Classic FFP packaging. The deal is worth £47 million. Not exactly a bargain, but not crazy money for a player who can deliver in Europe and add depth in the Premier League. West Ham pretend they don't want to let him go, but when personal terms are settled and the window shuts today, the outcome is clear. Only a miracle stops it now. Should it go through, Unai Emery gets a midfielder who doesn't just unlock buses but creates chances out of nothing. Paquetá already knows how to survive in the Premier League. He works hard off the ball and doesn't fear the physical side, qualities that count at every stage, league or Europe. Antony's transfer to Real Betis is turning into a farce, where logic is nowhere to be found. It started well enough. Manchester United accepted an offer of £25 million plus 50% of any future resale. The English club gave the green light, Antony was ready to fly to Seville and sign the papers. Then Betis suddenly hit the brakes, saying, "We can't afford this deal." The Spaniards rolled out new demands. United should cover €4 million in salary differences and also pay €2 million to Antony's agents. United are openly irritated, feeling they're being played. It looks like Betis are simply backtracking and using this as a negotiating trick. Antony isn't spotless either. He insists he did everything possible for the move, yet still asked for compensation to cover his wages. Which begs the question, if money is the issue, why reject those huge Saudi offers? They would have solved everything. Clearly, he wants both, his preferred club and a top salary. But Betis's budget just doesn't stretch that far. According to ABC, Betis even offered a compromise. Gradual pay rises each season plus a signing bonus. But Antony turned that down too. He wants everything immediately. Now the situation is stuck. Fenerbahçe showed interest but disappeared after failing in the Champions League qualifiers. United, meanwhile, would prefer to end the saga with a sale, but won't keep bowing to player demands or Betis's games. Otherwise, it sets a bad precedent for future negotiations. The risks are clear. Betis could miss out on a forward they've chased all summer. Antony could sit on United's bench until winter if he keeps rejecting options. And United risk looking like a club willing to bend just to offload players. So who blinks first? Betis, forced to find the money? United, tired of carrying a want away? Or Antony himself, who must finally decide, play football or keep chasing golden terms? The longer it drags, the more likely the transfer collapses entirely. Liverpool just won't let it go and are back in for Marc Guehi. This time the Reds put £35 million on the table plus a 10% sell-on clause, but Crystal Palace keep a straight face, add another 5 in bonuses. So the clubs are basically arguing over a sum that for Premier League giants is pocket change. The whole situation is, to put it mildly, odd. Guehi is Palace's captain, but his contract runs out next summer. He's not planning to extend, and the club knows it. Either they sell now or in a year he walks for free. And here's where the drama begins. The Eagles want to cash in while they can, but they're afraid of being left without a replacement. Liverpool keep pushing. Their defense has gaps, the season ahead is long, and there's no time to waste. Guehi fits perfectly. England international, 25 years old, already a captain. Hard to imagine a more logical signing. Speaking of logic, and if you're watching my videos regularly, subscribing to the channel is the most logical boost to your YouTube feed. It's like signing a national team captain, only free and without painful negotiations. One click and the squad is complete. The Reds tried before and got turned down, but now Palace are cornered. Remember how a year ago they rejected £65 million from Newcastle? And now they're haggling over nearly half that. A clear sign that time is working against the Eagles. They're trying to bring in 2 new defenders, and if they succeed, the Guehi sale will sort itself out. Funny twist, Palace suggested including Joe Gomez on loan in the deal, a swap of sorts, but Liverpool shut that down immediately. They'll pay cash, but they won't give up their players. Everything points to Guehi moving to Anfield. The only question is when and for how much. If they're still wrestling over $5 million, it looks silly. For Liverpool, it's peanuts. For Palace, it's saving face. But the truth is simple. The player wants out. The club risks losing him for nothing. And Liverpool are ready to seal it today. So the ending looks inevitable. Guehi will be a Red. It's no longer if, it's when.